Hi friends, welcome back to ARC Tutorials. We are continuing with our Angular 9 full tutorial series, and in today's episode we are going to learn about observables. What are observables? Why do we need them? How do we use them? What are some real-time use cases that we can implement and also kind of relate to when we start working on it? We'll learn all about it in this today's episode. Welcome back. My name is Sridhar. I bring over 10 years of experience as a full stack developer, and I'm here to share my knowledge with you. I'm also here to learn from you all. So during the course of this tutorial series, if you have any doubts, any queries, feel free to ask me in the comment section below. I'll be happy to help you. A lot of you are already encouraging and supporting me by liking the videos and subscribing to my channel. Thank you so very much. So this is part of the Angular 9 full tutorial playlist. Now we have close to 50 plus tutorials ranging from introduction, basics to advanced. The playlist link is in the description box below. Make sure you check it out to learn and master Angular 9. Alright, so today we are starting on Angular HTTP tutorial. So observables is the first in that series. It's important to know and learn about this because a lot of Angular implementation of HTTP involves observables. Let's get started. So at the end of this tutorial, we'll be able to learn what are observables, what is an observer, what are the different methods available in the observer, and how do we subscribe, what is subscription, and how do we implement multiple subscribers to a single observable. So all of this you'll learn at the end of this tutorial. Let's get started. So the first question that often that comes to mind is, what are observables? So observables are a sequence of data that is emitted asynchronously over a period of time, which means that automatically whenever there is a change in the data, it is automatically updated and tracked by our observable. Angular makes use of observables as an interface to handle a variety of common asynchronous operations. They are frequently used in Angular and is one of the recommended techniques for handling events, asynchronous programming, and handling multiple values. An observable can deliver multiple values of any type. It can be a string, it can be an event, etc. depending on the context. Now, the next important thing to understand in observables is an observer. So, what is an observer? Whenever we create an observable, we have to keep a track of on the observable. And to keep track, we use something called observer. So, observer is nothing but it is continuously listening to observable for changes. We can control when to start and when to end listening to the observable using observable. So observer has three methods. One is next, other is error, and complete. So these are the three most frequently used. We can also use other methods like remove, etc. But these are the three main methods that we use most of the times. Then comes subscription or subscribe. Whenever we implement an observable, it won't do anything on its own. So it's basically waste if you do not subscribe to it. Observable will keep sending values over a period of time, but we need a mechanism to capture that. We need a mechanism to track, to process that data that is sent by observables. And that is where we have to subscribe to it. So in short, whenever you say subscribe, you mean you're trying to process the data sent by the observable. We can have multiple subscribers for a given observable. So the question comes, can I have more than one subscriber on a given observable? Yes, we can definitely have more than one subscribers for any given observable. We can also unsubscribe from a subscriber. So these are some of the common things that you should be knowing about. So first is observable, the second is observer, the third is subscription. Now we'll see that into the hands-on examples. Before I go there, let me open up the notes for you. So just to recap, we'll make some notes and that way it will be easy for you to refer to it whenever you're practicing. All right, so I'm going to open notes here. So we are going learning about observable. So the first thing you should know is observable is part of RxJS library, right? And what is an observable? So we need to import observable into our component where we want to make use of it. Now, next, observable is a sequence of data that is emitted over period of time. Now, this data can be of any type: string, literal, events, etc. Angular uses observables very frequently in most async operations, right? Now, main things if I have to call out, it would be HTTP, routing, event handling. These are some of the common use cases that Angular continuously uses and is heavily dependent on it. Now that being said, the next one. So in order to listen and track the changes of observable, we need observer. Observer will continuously track the changes in observable. Observer main has many methods that we can use, right? So it has many methods that we can use. Some of the frequently used ones are next, error, and complete. So these are some of the commonly used, frequently used methods inside an observer. Now, observable as it is useless unless we subscribe to it. So we mean that by subscribe we mean that we are uh, processing the data slash values sent by observable over period of time, right? We can have multiple subscribers. We can have multiple subscribers to our observable. We can also unsubscribe from an subscriber, right? So these are some of the high level notes that you should be aware of. So if you understand these concepts, I think we are good to start with our hands-on example, right? All right. So one of the examples I want to give you is a shopping cart, right? Shopping cart example. Now here, let's say user places an order. So user placed an order. Initial state of the order is in progress. After some time, after some time, once once the order is processed or received, right? Is received status should be in processing. Once order is complete, status should be complete, right? So this is an example where you see that the odd status of the order is changing, right? and we need to keep track of this. And that's what we are going to build now. Another example that you can correlate to is user status online, right? When the user is active, the, the, the profile, the online status is active and green. Once user is inactive, status is idle and orange, right? So these are some of the use cases where you can relate to observables, like where there is a change in the data and we are tracking it. All right. So that with that understanding, let's build this example, okay, of a shopping cart using observable in our application from scratch. So first I'm going to create a component and I'm going to call it observable. Okay, so now that we have our observable, we'll use this to learn observable here. So what I'm going to do is open up my routing file and create a new route for observable. So once you have created the observable, import that component. So we have the component and the route part done. All right, so now let's start the application. In the meanwhile, if you have not yet subscribed, please do so. If you are liking the video so far, please give a thumbs up. It will take a minute. Again, if you have any doubts, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I'll be happy to help you. Let's go to our application and let's reload it, the path. Okay, so we see observable works, which means that the component is correctly mapped to our route and we can see the observable. All right, so let's go to that. Okay, to the component observable.component.ts file, and this is an empty template that we have. So what we are going to do here is first we will declare few things. Let's say I'll say order status as one of the variable, right? Order variable equal to empty. Initially there is no value, and in the template we'll use interpolation, order status, and we'll use interpolation to put that value, right? So it's initially empty. We also need a value to capture our observable. So I'll say any. So you see it's imported from RxJS. All right. Now the next thing we'll do is create an observable. So we'll write new observable, new observable, and then we will have to mention what is it subscribing to observer. So we'll write an observer using arrow method, right? And then next, what we need to do, we'll need to send some values. So let's use the set timeout method. Uh, Set timeout method, and we will write and send some data. So I'm going to say observer dot. So these are the methods that I was talking about, which are available in your observer. So next, error, closed, complete, remove. So these are all different methods that we can implement on our observer. I'm going to use next, which means send the next value. So here I'm going to send in progress, right? And I'm sending, and the timeout will be after 4 seconds. Send this. Now similarly, I'll copy this again, and now I will say after 8 seconds, it should be once, like this is where our business logic would reside. So you'll do some processing of the order. Once you receive it, then you will make it processing. And then again, once the order is complete, you would say completed, right? So if you see this observable, it won't do anything now. Like I told you, it's just having a observable is not any use, right? Because it will not do anything. We need to subscribe to it. So at the end of the observable, if you see here, this is the observable that's closing. So here I'm writing dot subscribe. We'll get a value, and again, and now we will write this dot order status equal to, well, now it's a string, so I'm going to change it and make it any, so we know that it can hold any type of data. All right, statements are not aligned. Okay, let's align them now. Okay, so far we created an observable. We have added some methods, which is set timeout after 4 seconds, 8 seconds, and 12 seconds. Or let me reduce this time here, 5 and 8. Okay, so now you see when we run this application, it will subscribe the value. It will listen to these values that are changing. All right, so let's refresh this and keep an eye here in the order status. We are not doing anything. It shows in progress. Then it will show processing. Then it will show complete automatically, right? So this is one of the examples that where you can see that there is a different data that is changing based on our requirement, right? So this is called sending different data from the packet, right? So this is a sequence of data that is sent over a period of time. Now, instead of, I told you that we can have multiple subscriptions to a single observable. So let's do that now. So instead of subscribing here, we can take this value and we can write, since we have used a variable here, what I'll do is I'll copy this, right? So here I can say this dot data equal to, right? So now it says type subscription is missing from the following, right? So here we have to subscribe to that. So we will say this dot data equal this dot data dot subscribe, right? So we have used that this dot data and we are subscribing to it. Similarly, we can again write this dot data to dot subscribe again. So we need to use the same thing, right? So here we can have the similar assignment of, for now you can, I'm just assigning directly to data, but you can usually what you can do is copy this again, use it. So now there is single observable, but you can have multiple subscriptions to it. So the other way of writing this is, so here I'll write this dot data dot subscribe. Here I'll say value 2. So see, now this is second subscription. Second subscription, right? So this is the first subscription. This is second subscription. So you can do multiple things with the same observable, right? So I have an observable, I am subscribing it multiple times and I'm changing it. So we can do that. Now let me extend this by adding some methods. Now I don't want, I want it to stop once the order is, right? Once the order is complete, we want to stop it. That's where we can use observer dot complete. So this will complete it. That means it will no more listen or track for changes. Because you marked it as complete, it will no more listen or track for changes. Similarly, how to close the, how to complete. right? You can also similarly have something like error. So we can say that, observer dot error, right? So if any, what do you want to do with it basically? So if there is an error, what should you do with it, right? If there is some logic that has gone wrong or error handling, you can implement dot error here. So we have three main methods that we learned: observer dot next, dot error, and dot complete, right? So these are the different things that we want to send. So here we can say completed, not here, sorry. So once it's complete, then it won't listen anything. So even if you send some data afterwards, it will not listen to it. Let me show you that now. Okay, let's copy this. So if you send something after 12 seconds, right, and I'm sending a value uh, after completion, right? But here I have marked it as complete. Here I have already marked it as complete at 10 seconds. So now this value will not be updated or should not be updated. Let's reload it. So we'll see in progress, and then we see processing, we see completed. That's it. We will not see any changes anymore because we have already completed it, right? So it stopped at completed. It will not give you this value. It will not give, will not show slash process this data as we have closed or by we have completed, right? So that is the beauty of observable. So I hope your queries on observables are now, it's clear to you what is an observable, how to use it, and how do you subscribe to it. So ask me any doubts, give it a try out all the examples I showed you, give it a hands-on try. And in the next one, we'll start with HTTP client, especially with services and dependency injection. I hope it was helpful to you. If you like the video, give a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next episode where we start with HTTP. Thank you so much.